Something is seriously wrong with people. And I'm so sick and tired of this ratchet, ghetto, uncivilized behavior. Why are we glorifying this type of behavior? You know what? I'm a calm person. I don't do drama and I don't look for trouble. And usually I can ignore these types of things and just move on. But the behavior that I'm seeing lately, it's really starting to get to me. It seems like everywhere you look, people have just lost their minds. Just a couple of months ago, I was out at a bar just trying to unwind and have a good time. And I ended up sitting near these two couples who were just acting a fool. They were being loud, arguing amongst themselves, and also with other customers. Just flat out rude and disrespectful. It just ruined the vibe. Eventually they were asked to leave, but it just really showed me how comfortable people have gotten just being in a public space and acting a fool. The behavior that I'm seeing in public and online, it's on a whole nother level now. Whenever you're on the internet or when you're out in public, it feels like the bar for how we carry ourselves just keeps getting lower. People are just loud for no reason, disrespecting people who are just doing their jobs. And the craziest part, people on the internet are okay with this type of behavior. It's like we've turned bad behavior into entertainment. And we love to blame the youth, but let's just be real. The older adults are out here crashing out too. This isn't just a younger people thing, because you have grown men and women, people who are supposed to be the examples, doing the absolute most on social media and out in public. Cloud chasing and acting just as crash out as the younger generation. And it just leaves you wondering, who's supposed to give game to the younger people if the older people have the same mindset and the same mentality as a teenager? When the people who should be checking the bad behavior are the ones who participate, the whole structure is screwed. You guys, I can't make this up. They have no basic home training nowadays. And no shame either. And it's sad when strangers feel more ashamed about your behavior than what you do. And it's all done for attention and a viral clip. Everyone is trying to get a clip, all for clout, and they don't care who they embarrass. They don't care who they disrespect or hurt in order to get it. And what's even crazier is if a teenager acts out, we always say, where are their parents? But now you look at the viral clips and it's the parents, the 40 and the 50-year-olds acting up right along with them and trying to get internet famous by any means necessary. There's no wisdom being passed down anymore because the older generation is too busy trying to stay relevant. The self-respect is just gone, you guys. They rather have the internet status. If you're loud, toxic, they say you're keeping it real. But if you're quiet, respectful, and handle yourself with some class, you're being too boring and they may call you stuck up. Everything is just flipped now. You know what? Let's leave the kids out of it for a second. And let's talk about the people out here who actually have some damn sense. Because when you have a solid upbringing and you carry yourself like you have some manners and some self-respect, it sets you apart from the crowd. You look around and these grown adults are throwing tantrums and acting uncivilized, and you're just standing there completely at a loss for words, just by the embarrassment. And let's keep it 100. It makes the entire community look bad. When the loudest, most ratchet behavior is the only thing being seen, that becomes a stereotype. It becomes the expectation. So for those of you who do step into a professional space or a public space, we're already starting at a disadvantage because people assume that we're going to act just like the viral clips that they see online. It's so frustrating just watching how these people degrade themselves and then drag everyone else's reputation down. And it's all done just for attention. And they don't realize there's a complete lack of self-respect. It makes the rest of us look bad too. We have to start bringing back standards in how we carry ourselves. Because this right here, it's not it. I don't think it's just the younger generation that's messed up. Because honestly, the older crowd, is the one that's really letting us down. We love to look at these kids and talk about how they have no respect, but who's supposed to teach these kids respect? You got people in their 40s and their 50s, grown adults who actually lived in a time where manners existed, respect meant something, and they're out here acting absolute clowns just to stay relevant. And it's so crazy to me because you're old enough to remember life before the smartphones even existed. You're old enough to know how to respect others and have respect for yourself. And you're the main ones in the comments that's arguing with teenagers, using their slang and just trying to pull stunts in public just for a couple of likes. It's like the older generation hit a midlife crisis and decided that instead of passing down wisdom, they rather compete with their own kids just for views. That's where the system is broken. Because when we were growing up, if you acted out, an adult would check you on the spot. But how can you check a kid now when you're the one who's doing the exact same thing on your own page? You can't give game to the younger generation when you're still trapped in the same clout chase that they are. The younger generation don't have any examples to follow now. And you know what's crazy? They don't even try to hide it or come up with an excuse whenever they do get caught acting a fool. They don't care. These people don't care about you calling them out about how they acted a fool and how they embarrassed you in public, because they're going to go even harder. When those views start coming, the behavior gets worse. They're going to start bragging about it and posting follow-up videos. And then to tell you to follow them. You've got to be kidding me. I've seen enough in the first clip. You showed me everything I needed to see, honey. And you know what's crazy about this older crowd? When a teenager gets caught doing something stupid, at least they have enough sense to look down and feel embarrassed about it later because they know they crossed the line. But these grown adults, they have completely lost their minds. Just imagine being a teenager and trying to figure out how to be an adult. And you look over at your mom or your dad, and they're doing the absolute most on the internet just to get attention. Who's supposed to teach these kids? Who's supposed to teach these kids about moving with some class? The elders have completely lost it. All for a 15-second clip or views. And the damage that they're doing to their own families' names, it's going to be around for a minute. It just makes you wonder what happens next. We have to talk about what this is actually doing to these kids just by growing up in this mess. Because they're looking at their parents. They're looking up to their parents. And they're seeing them get rewarded with attention for acting wild. And they assume that that's just what you do. That's what you need to do in this world in order to get ahead. Being loud, being obnoxious, disruptive. That's the way to get noticed or feel important. We're raising this generation on just instincts instead of character. There's no balance. There's nobody in the house that's showing them how to handle a disagreement or how to walk away from a toxic situation with some type of dignity and respect. And then you look at the school systems and the streets and then wonder why these kids are so angry and chaotic. We get mad at these teachers for not controlling the classroom, but what do you expect them to do? Because the teachers are fighting a losing battle right now because these kids are only seeing the examples at home. So they're bringing it to school. So you can't expect a teenager to have the respect for authority at school when their own mother is on TikTok filming herself fighting. The math just don't add up right now. We're failing these kids before they even get a chance to figure out who they are. When you walk into a bank or a store or even a nice restaurant, you can instantly feel the tension in the room. The people that's working there are already on edge. They're looking at you and you can see it in their eyes. They're waiting for you to start acting up. They're waiting for that camera to come out. So we're starting at a disadvantage because the public expectation is dropped so low. So you have to spend the first 5 minutes of every conversation just proving that you're rational and you're a respectful human being. Every time we watch a video of a grown adult throwing a tantrum and we laugh about it, that's only keeping the cycle going. We're saying this is what we want to see. When people act uncivilized in public, people crowd around with their phones out instead of turning their backs and walking away. I don't want no involvement in it. So I'm out of there. I don't want to see it because it's embarrassing. So somewhere along the way, we start to accept this behavior. Maybe I'm just old fashioned. Maybe this is just how it is now. You guys tell me if I'm wrong and just drop it in the comments because I want to see who still has some sense out there. And thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.